All right, in this lab, what you're gonna do is try to solve a major problem that we have in the world is energy inefficiency in the residential market. Energy inefficiency in the residential market. Simply put, homes waste natural resources. So what you're gonna do is try to look at some brand new designs, some ancient designs, some adaptations of designs, and then you're gonna do a mashup of all these ideas and try to come up with the best, most energy efficient home, natural resource efficient home for a given location that you're going to choose, okay? So here's your assignment, and then I'm gonna talk about all the different types of houses. You're gonna take 3 of the concepts. There's a big list. So you're gonna choose only 3. You're gonna choose a location on Earth, some city that you're gonna be designing for. And then you're gonna do a mashup of all 3 of those designs with the point in mind is to have the most natural resource efficient home for that area. That's the idea. Okay, I'm gonna give you a rundown on this huge list of home designs that you see behind me here. I'm gonna go as fast as I can, so hold on tight. Bottle homes. They use plastic bottles or glass bottles, fill them with earth, pack them tight, and they're essentially used like bricks. They're stacked in and cemented in, so the walls literally are made out of recycled bottles. Hay bales. This one uses a wood frame, but everything else is bottles and soil cement. Hay bales. This is also going to use a wood frame, but the insulation is literally hay bales, okay? And you can make some massive houses out of this. It's done, sprayed over, and then covered in plaster, so you don't see the hay bales. It's an interesting concept. Tiny homes. This one's very, very popular, particularly on the West Coast. Simply put, the smaller the home is, the less interior space has to be heated and cooled, and therefore the home is more efficient. Just mathematically off the top, can't shake that. These are more efficient use of materials and a better use of electricity. Green roofs. This is actually an ancient European concept, but simply put, you've got heavy, usually stone walls, but they can be made out of almost anything as long as they can support the weight. You don't see very many 2-stories of these, but the roof is very heavily built and sealed, and then it has soil and then plants growing out of it. That's why it's called a green roof, because there's literally like a grassland ecosystem on top of the building, and that's what's going to be soaking in all the sunlight. Instead of having all this fiberglass insulation in the attic and everything else, the soil does all that for you. Container homes. These are starting to become more popular as well. It's a shipping container, which are huge, and they're all steel. They're incredibly strong, and they're cheap. Once they've been decommissioned, they're not deemed safe for the intercontinental voyages and stuff like that. You can buy them for a couple $1,000 to turn them into a house. And there's some really amazing designs because they can all be welded together. Subterranean and earth insulated. True subterranean houses pose a plumbing and drainage nightmare. So you don't see a ton of truly subterranean, means underground homes, okay? The ones that you do see are typically concrete. Earth insulated, on the other hand, means that they've been partially buried. So the home sits on top of ground level, and then usually using a container, sits on top of ground level, then the whole thing is buried over, and the earth itself acts as a huge insulative barrier between hot and cold outside, and then you use way less electricity to heat and cool because it's so well insulated. Dog trot homes or dog run houses. This was popular in the American South, and you can see them right here in Farmers Branch and Carrollton. Some of them still exist, and you can see them all over Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, New Orleans, or Louisiana. In fact, I had a great-grandfather that built one of these before there was electricity at all. And they use Bernoulli's principle. They have a central hallway that is aligned to the prevailing winds. And when the wind blows in the summertime, it creates a vacuum using Bernoulli's principle and sucks air through the whole house. So essentially, when there's a wind outside, it creates a wind through the entire house and cools the home that way, and with no electricity use whatsoever. Earthships. This is one you're probably not familiar with at all. It's definitely outside the box. It's more common out west where there are no building codes. And the main thing with earthships, you're going to see a lot. These are kind of mashups in themselves. But one of the main things you see is compressed earth tire foundations. So they use tires, fill them with earth, compress them, stack them like bricks, and then concrete over the top of them. It uses up rubbish old tires, and they're incredibly strong. Big issue is that they're very, very heavy. All right, if you're from Mexico or you're from the Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico, anything like that, maybe even Colorado, you may have seen an adobe building, an adobe house even. And adobe and the African technique cob are very, very similar. They're going to use clay, sand, some sort of fiber, and those are going to be mixed into a particular ratio, compressed into bricks, dried, stacked, and then plastered over. It's an ancient technique, and it works very, very well. If you've ever been to, one of my first experiences with cob was in New Mexico, and being in a lot of the buildings there, it will be very cold outside in the morning because it's up in the mountains, and pretty darn hot in the afternoon, and you can go in these adobe buildings and it's 70 degrees inside. No air conditioning running at all. It's just the thermal mass of the adobe that's working. Soil cement. You don't see that a ton here in this country, but you see it all through Mexico, India, lots of other places. And I'll let you look into what soil cement is, but it's a mixture of soil and cement, and it works pretty well for smaller dwellings. Hempcrete. Hempcrete is a mixture of hemp fibers and a cement hardener. And this is a brilliant idea for carbon sequestration. It's breathable, it's fireproof, it looks great, and it uses this huge amount of fiber that's super fast growing, and all that carbon dioxide that's taken out of the atmosphere by the plants is locked in and literally cemented into the walls for hundreds of years. Solar fabric in an indoor-outdoor mix. So solar fabric is too much to explain here, but there is a lot of home design that's using a creative use of a small internal space and a large outdoor space. So really what it gets into is the idea that a lot of folks, their indoor space is massive, but they're not actually in it, right? There's extra rooms, there's extra playrooms, there's entertainment room, blah, 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 blah. All that has to be heated and cooled all the time, usually in an inefficient design anyway. So what this does is it minimizes the indoor space. You're gonna like sleep and eat, right? Indoor. Everything else is outdoor, and you have these awnings of this extremely durable, tough outdoor fabric that is also a giant solar panel all at the same time. Modular yurts with recycled plastic. A yurt is a sort of Eurasian design concept that uses like wood and skins and stuff like that. It's ancient. However, you can take recycled plastics and make modular walls that fit in these like octagonal shapes and things like that literally hook together like Lincoln logs or something like that. And the yurt, the home, is modular. So it has prefab walls that essentially hook together, screw together, and they're made with recycled plastics, and they're efficient because they have airspace inside them that insulates them. Now, so I went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I missed compressed earth brick. Bummer. Compressed earth brick is really interesting. It uses a hydraulic machine and a particular earth mix, and it compresses the earth into a brick that looks similar to an adobe brick, but it's made completely differently, and it's ready to use almost on the spot. It doesn't take the weeks and weeks of drying and stuff like that. And they fit together, because they're compressed all in the exact same shape, then the shape fits together right over rebar, right on top of a foundation, and it literally goes together like Legos. It's brilliant. Sorry, I got a miscount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different types of homes for you to look at and research. You're going to take 3 of those and pick a location, and you're going to do a mashup of the best house that will save natural resources.